Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, everyone. JLR investigates. Good morning. Come on in, come on in. Reporting live from Springfield, Ohio. Second day in Springfield, Ohio. Going to get Magnolia in the chat shortly, and we are going to discuss what we saw yesterday, and we are going to go boots on the ground today. I figured I'd come on and have a little breakfast chat, power packed breakfast, protein, and we're going to talk a little bit about Springfield, Ohio, the great state of Ohio. Springfield, come on in. A lot of attention right now dealing with Springfield, Ohio, which is a very nice, pleasant community that I saw yesterday. Yesterday, me and Magnolia were all around the downtown area. We actually went to up by the Walmart to the north. Then we went Snyder Park, place where they're talking about ducks and birds and everything like that. A lot of people out playing about, and we'll talk a little bit about it. And then we're going to talk about a little this place here that seems like a little bit fishy going on in Springfield called First Diversity. First Diversity. And First Diversity was a place that while we were live streaming yesterday, that was the lady that was like calling us over, and she started going hostile a little bit. It's interesting about that place because yeah, after the fact, I started Googling around and looking around at First Diversity, and that place is under federal and state investigation for human trafficking. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll have some breakfast. I'll call Magnolia in the chat. We love our continental breakfasts at the hotels, wherever we stay. One of the places, I love it when we get some eggs and actual protein. Yesterday in London, Kentucky, the hotel was like, we had to resort to toast and butter. It's always good. So future bookings, I always try to see if they have real continental breakfast. But we're bringing the foods, we're bringing the goods. A lot of things going on today. We're going to be strolling around in the neighborhoods of Springfield, Ohio. And we appreciate everyone that has reached out to us. A lot of people have reached out to us. And a lot of people have reached out to us on both sides of the issue, right? This is a very controversial issue going on in Springfield, and it just seems like there's a lot of things going on and a lot of different opinions. So, it's good to hear all sides and all perspectives to get an understanding of what's really going on. I haven't seen any cats and dogs being eaten. So I want to put that first off. I want to put that out there because that is a lot of talk online about the cats and dogs. I have not seen any cats and dogs being eaten. I haven't seen any negativity. I haven't seen any crime. I've seen 2 accidents though. Yesterday while we were leaving to go out of Springfield, let me see if I got it. There was an actual auto accident. There was an auto accident, and they're saying that the people in Springfield are accidents all over the place. Wonder what's going on here. Auto accident. 3 cars, boom, 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 hit each other. 3 cars hit each other. Accidents. One thing people tell me about Springfield are accidents. Accidents happening left and right, all over the place. Left and right. So also a lot of things are going on tonight. One of the former presidential candidates, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's holding a town hall meeting in Springfield tonight or this evening, 6:30 or whatever like that. We're gonna go check it out. We'll live stream so we can see what's going on. He's put out that he wants to talk to everybody involved, and the city of residents of Springfield. Open discussion. He's encouraging anyone Haitian migrants to come and talk and share their story and share what's going on. So that will be interesting. We're going to go through the neighborhoods and see if anyone wants to talk. We want to see, what this is all about, right? So far, I haven't seen a crisis or anything going on. I see a town. Residents have told us that the social services and the the police and the fire department and EMS and healthcare system are being overwhelmed in the area. I personally haven't seen it. We haven't went down to the DMV. We're seeing and hearing about a loophole in Ohio which allows anyone, doesn't matter who you are, in order to obtain a permit, I believe, you don't have to take the driver's course to get a permit, which is, wow, it's like a loophole. Maybe that's why there's accidents all over the place. Power Pack Protein, folks. Come on in. JLR Investigates. Those boots on the ground. Got a little sidetracked yesterday with the catching of Joseph Couch. So we were actually in Springfield when it was announced, or we were actually live when you guys were telling us, our friends, the Hatfield McCoys, found a body. So we were kind of monitoring that situation. And then as soon as I got off that live yesterday downtown Springfield, when we were downtown, and then we checked, and then Magnolia sent me a picture, and it was like a body, the actual screenshot of the body. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is Couch. It has to be Couch. It can't be anyone else that's decomposing, right by exit 49. I mean, it's not like anyone else went missing around there. So we pretty much I was like 99% certain that it was Couch, right? A lot of you. So then I got a hold of the Hatfield and McCoys, Fred and Sheila, and asked them what's up, and they were confident that was him. So I said, well, let me get you on for exclusive, whatever, and I'm grateful for them to come on. Happy to help them, bring people to them, and I'm so glad that the state of Kentucky can be at ease. So glad, right? So that's a good story. That ended up being a great story. Plus, you can never say that YouTubers now, no one can say that YouTubers are bad in reference to finding people, because YouTubers found the body. So I'm really good on that, because sometimes law enforcement kind of they throw shade at YouTubers or people, streamers, and say, oh, you guys get out of the way, let the professionals do it, whatever. They do that. You guys got to admit, they do that, and they don't want YouTubers around and everything like that, and end up being YouTubers that ended up finding a body. It's citizen journalists. It's just people with a camera out there, and live streaming and documenting, and that was good, because law enforcement, I don't feel, would have found that body. They kind of left the area, and the Hatfield and McCoys kind of notified law enforcement about a very bad smell. So that was very good, and they get the $25,000 reward. So I'm very happy for them. They worked very hard. I mean, gas going around there for a week looking for a body. That's the incentive, though. I have no problem with the rewards, and I have no problems with high rewards if it encourages people to come out and find answers on an unsolved mystery. Some people say, well, people are in it for the money. Well, that's what rewards are for, to give someone an incentive to go out there and help. If we had rewards on every crime there that was high, maybe every crime would get solved, right? Maybe every crime or every mystery that's dealing with rewards gets solved. But now we're here. Now we're back focused on Springfield, Ohio. I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to step outside. I'm going to call Magnolia, and we're going to talk. That's right, Mouthy man, Mama. Streamers, YouTubers, I don't know if it was YouTuber, but streamers found Gabby Petito's van. Gabby Petito's van that was tucked in the Teton, the Grand Teton area, north of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I've been there, by the way. Power Up Protein, JLR. You're working hard. Would you say carry a rifle? Keep carrying the fire. Yeah, we bring the heat. We go to the locations. Though I'm monitoring a situation in the Gulf of Mexico with this possible hurricane. Now, I don't know where it's going to go, but the models are like, check out the weather meteorologists on Twitter and everywhere. They're talking about a big giant storm. A storm that's going to be circulating in the Gulf of Mexico. Will it hit the Big Bend of Florida? Some models have it going towards Texas, Louisiana, but we are definitely monitoring that, and that's a bad boy. So, we'll monitor Springfield through the weekend, and if this stuff needs attention, we'll stay. If If there's things around here to document, we'll stay. Some are saying that whatever the situation is in here in reference to Haitian migrants and the players and participants are involved, they're saying that a lot of people are saying that they're hiding right now. They're in their house and they're told not to come out. But I'm eyeing to head that hurricane next week if the hurricane hits. You never want a hurricane to hit, but we do like documenting them on JLR Investigates. I miss Francine in Louisiana. I wanted to go to Magnolia's home turf, Louisiana, to check out Francine last week, but we just didn't have time. We were covering the manhunt, and we were covering the mass shootings, Colt Gray, Joppatown, Maryland, Omaha, Nebraska, and all the mass shooting threats. Oh, by the way, speaking about these kids, right? These bomb threats and these threats at school and stuff, and it's happening here too, in Springfield. Yesterday, Walmart's, I think there's 2 Walmarts in the area, or a Walmart and a Kroger. There was bomb threats to schools. DeWine brought in the state police to monitor. Apparently, according to residents, before these kids go into school each day here, they do a sweep with dogs and everything like that. I mean, it's a big deal. But speaking of that, I just want to share this because this is what Florida Sheriff Chitwood. There's a couple sheriffs in Florida I like. I like Chitwood, I like Wayne Ivey, and I like Grady Judd. Those are like my favorite sheriffs. But Chitwood, he ain't afraid to shame these people that are doing these pranks, the ones that are not doing the shootings, but the ones that are calling up or emailing or sending out whatever and threatening schools and everything like that. Chitwood will embarrass you. Listen to this right here. This is funny. This is pretty funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny because the way he says it and everything like that. You don't want to play. You don't want to play with this. This is individuals that got arrested in Florida in his jurisdiction for making threats, and they basically do it like Wayne Ivey does it too. They put the camera on the defendants and kind of shame them and let them know. And in this particular case, he's shaming the parents. The parents saying the parents are going to be responsible. So let's listen to this here. This is interesting.
Parents, do your job. Don't let Sheriff Chitwood raise your kids. This is absolutely ridiculous. Go talk to the families who have lost a loved one in a school shooting. These little knuckleheads think it's funny. Go talk to those parents and see how funny this is.
Think you made a wise decision today? Well, man, you gotta be better than that.
Education.
Life's not over, but it's just starting, man. You kids have to start thinking, and when you go to school, it's just focus on school. That's it. Okay?
Be careful walking. It's gonna be...
And have a seat. When we're ready for you, come get you. I'm process it, all right? Any questions, man? Okay.
Wasn't that interesting? Chitwood's like, don't let us raise your kid. Don't let us raise your kid. So, you know, whoever's doing these threats around here or any of these schools, whatever like that, the kids, it seems like a lot of kids that are doing it are like 14, 15 years old. I mean, their life isn't over. Like, man, stop with the ridiculousness because everyone's on edge anyway. And there's serious consequences to what you do. And your life's not over, but it could be career ending. Or get you in the system and then you stay in the juvenile system the rest of your life or whatever like that. Now, in reference to threats around here, who knows who's doing it? DeWine, Governor DeWine claims they're coming from overseas. He claims the threats are coming from overseas. I'm not so sure about that because basically if you have an IP spoofer, VPN, you can make your calls and IP appear from anywhere around the world. So to say, for a fact they're coming from overseas, I'm not so sure. I don't know why people from overseas would be so interested in Springfield, Ohio. So Vivek Ramaswamy will be here. See what he has to say. See his take on the situation. I would like to hear from people in the political sphere about this situation. Come on the record and say things and share what's really going on in Springfield. But we're going to talk about, give me a minute, we're going to finish this. I'm going to go out there and we're going to call Magnolia up. And we're going to talk about First Diversity. We're going to talk about the wine a little bit. I'm eating eggs. Power practice. Protein. Pretty good stuff. All right, let's take coffee and go outside. That was a good breakfast. I like Best Western breakfast and too. This is Country Inn. Country Inn. So let me take this. Just throw this stuff away here. I'll show you. I'll show you what they offer. Here. Spin the camera around. Here we go. Country Inn. So for $150 a night, you get a nice room. Look at this. It's like sizzling. Looks all right, right? Powder eggs. Are they real eggs? What do you think? We're not eating cats and dogs. Ah, biscuits. Biscuits and gravy. Ah. All right. All right. Little pancake maker. All right. There's the Quaker Oat guy. Hello. Hello. All right. Let's see if it's freshly squeezed. I'm not an orange juice drinker like that. I mean, it's all right. I don't think it's Florida orange juice, but it's all right. All right, so let's go. Let's call Magnolia up and talk about Springfield. I know. We're boots on the ground in Springfield. Boots on the ground in Springfield. Come on in. We'll let's do it right here. We'll do it right here. Boots on the ground in Springfield, folks. We're going to be walking and talking. So let's call Magnolia up and get her in the chat. And we're going to talk a little bit about Springfield. Magnolia is more of the... She's really good. Magnolia gets all the information available and tries to get the most accurate information out there when it's dealing with this situation. So... she's an asset. She's, let me see here. All right, let me, here we go. Calling Magnolia. I'm going to put it on speakerphone. Hello, Magnolia.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
All right, so, Springfield, Ohio, we're here. What's our agenda? What's going on? What have you learned in the last day that I haven't touched on about this place, this community here, Clark County?
Well, pretty much immediately when we got to town, we ran into a couple people on the live stream that we talked to. People heard them give their take on the situation. So right away, you can see in Springfield that the issue of the Haitian immigrants is something that pretty much affects every single person in this town, and that's the residents and the migrants themselves. So people might remember yesterday in our live stream, we went by First Diversity Staffing. And the lady was outside on her phone, and she was acting really, really suspicious and defensive. It's really weird, shady. And after our live, and even up till this morning, we've gotten so many emails about First Diversity Staffing. And it turns out that the plot thickens.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, the plot thickens. So, just talking to people in the town and also reading other investigative reports, everything in this town, all the problems that are happening, almost all of them are being traced back specifically to First Diversity Staffing. And it turns out that they may be under FBI investigation, as well as the Ohio Attorney General investigating them for human trafficking.
Whoa.
So that's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about. Multiple people sent us information about this, and so this place, First Diversity Staffing, is owned by a guy named George 10, like the number 10.
George 10.
And his father originally started the staffing company in New York years and years ago, and he turned it over to George around 2010. And they have different locations, but the one in Springfield specifically has been bringing Haitian immigrants to Springfield since at least 2019 to fill jobs in the town for major companies like Dole Foods. I guess they have a location here, and they hire these Haitian immigrants to do work around $12.50 an hour or so. They're paid. Now, so this was going on even as far back as 2019, but in the past few years, what we've kind of gathered is that a lot of the problems we're looking at today really kind of exploded beginning in 2022. And the reason for that is because the federal government issued temporary protected status for Haitians, specifically, more or less like a refugee type status.
Mm-hmm.
And so under that status, they get a lot of rights. There's a lot of rights that they have. One thing that people have talked about, and we've seen some misinformation going around online about these Haitian immigrants getting driver's licenses. The claim is that they're getting driver's licenses illegally or something like that, but that's not the case. So they actually come in. When they come in under this status. They're immediately given a work visa, first of all. That's the first thing. And then they're able to get their driver's license. So there's just a lot of things that come with that status. And so they actually have a lot of the same rights as U.S. citizens under this. And it was extended. The program was extended. So normally it's like 18 months or so that they're under the protected status, but they extended this for Haitian migrants, and I think it goes up until 2026. So, they get housing, things like that. So I'll just go over a few of the benefits that they get. Let's see.
So,
go ahead.
In reference to the driver's license, you mean permits? They're getting permits. That's kind of right. Permits, not the actual driver's license.
No, they can get their driver's license. So, it says that most states in the United States allow individuals with TPS, temporary protected status, to obtain a driver's license since they are legally present in the U.S. So what they require is proof of identity, residency, and legal presence. So basically that means they have to show their birth certificate, their passport. They would have to put down an address local in town where they live, where they're trying to get the driver's license. So it's very similar to anyone else going and getting your license. You have to take your birth certificate, forms of ID, proof of residency, things like that. So they can go in. Now, in some states, they do issue temporary licenses, but you know, I just think that people don't understand what's really going on here, because a lot of this has been portrayed as though these are just random Haitian migrants who came over the border and just decided to come to Springfield. And that's just not the case. That is not the case at all. They are brought in specifically, you know, a lot of times they're flown in or they may get bused to Springfield, but these are not the ones that we saw at the border. So, I mean, now there are some here illegally, I'm sure, but by and large, the 20,000, the number we keep hearing, the 20,000, these are people, they are here legally. They're here legally. If I've seen other journalists trying to make a big deal at the DMV about how they're going and getting their licenses and it's illegal and all this kind of stuff, and that's just not true. That's just, they're not illegals, they're here legally. And I think people need to understand that first and foremost, because misinformation and demonizing these people is not going to solve the problem. The problem is that this particular staffing company, First Diversity Staffing, has brought these people in by the busloads, and they apparently have not been transparent about their plans in doing this. And so what's happened now, it's been a couple years now that this has been ongoing. The city itself is suffering and the residents are suffering because there are not enough resources to handle such an influx. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and some of the people we talked to said this, that, you know, what about translators? You have 20,000 people coming here that don't speak English, and they're being dumped in schools. You know, you've got to have translators for that. If they break the law and they go to court, they have to have a translator for that. And that's just like really just scratching the surface. So there's a local man here named Kyle Kohler, who's a former state representative, and he's currently running for state senate. And he posted a statement. This is something that a lot of people sent to us, just kind of breaking down everything about the refugees and the situation in the town. So one thing that they're given when they come here is protection. So they're protected from being deported. First of all, they get work authorization, travel authorization, access to Social Security benefits and taxations. So TPS holders can receive Social Security numbers. That means they're eligible to pay into and benefit from Social Security. Driver's licenses, we already talked about. Now, one thing about it, the TPS status doesn't automatically give them a path to citizenship, but it's more or less seen as, I guess, like a fast track type thing. You know, they get educational benefits, housing, and legal rights. TPS holders have the right to lease or purchase property, enter into contracts. They generally have the same civil rights as U.S. citizens or permanent residents, as far as legal protections against discrimination. So they have the right to legal representation. They're eligible for certain federal programs. So there's a lot that comes with this. But when you're dumping that many people into one town, and now a third of them make up the population, it's just causing a strain on the system overall. And it's, I mean, you can just see when you talk to the residents, they're just exasperated. They're exhausted from this. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of oversight with what's happening. And to make it even worse, the man who owns First Diversity Staffing, George Ten, also just so happens to own almost 50 properties in the area that are described as basically slumlord situations, where sometimes 24 Haitians could be living in one house, kind of sharing the house. And you know, it's just so this man is bringing these people in. He's getting them jobs at places like Dole, and then he's also profiting off of renting to them because, you know, like I just said, they get the housing, they have housing rights. And so, you know, he's getting the money from the government because the government gives people certain incentives to house immigrants, and grant money. You know, this is an industry, and we've been saying this for so long. The border situation, the border crisis, it's a global industry. It's like a multi-billion-dollar industry. And if you want to get in there and make the money, there's lots and lots of ways to do it, because a system like this is ripe for fraud. And that's what we're seeing in this town. And we've only barely scratched the surface. So I think what people need to understand, this whole thing about the cats and the dogs, yeah, it's a sensational story and it's a viral meme. But the problem is that it's detracting from the real issues in Springfield. And so you can't, there's a lot of people that are focusing on that aspect. And we have heard people say that, you know, all the ducks and the geese in the parks are missing now, they're just gone. And we've heard people say these things, but that is just like one tiny aspect of the overall story, which is major corruption that's fueled by the U.S. immigration industry. It's an industry.
Yeah, but First Diversity would be funded by the United States government, correct?
Well, they'll get money from the United States government, and so do all these other organizations, because it's not just First Diversity. I mean, you have to have, there's a network involved here. So, you know, there's transportation involved, getting them to and from their jobs. There's, you know, Catholic charities popped up.
Right next door to First Diversity.
Yeah, they built a facility right here in Springfield that they just opened up. I think it was like last year, earlier this year, I think is when it actually opened. You know, and so they're providing services. So they're getting money from the government. There's other people, city officials, that are getting grant money as well. So the mayor himself, the mayor, Rue is his name. He himself is an owner of multiple properties that, guess what? Haitians are the renters. So, you know, and they're just pulling these schemes with these properties, these hiring agencies. And that's where, if you look at the whole situation overall, no matter who you talk to, whether they're a person who's more conservative or whether they're a more liberal person, pretty much everyone agrees that the source of the problem is First Diversity, because they're exploiting these Haitian immigrants for profit. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, but if First Diversity is under federal investigation, why do they continue to get funding from the federal government? Why do they continue to get funding from the hand that feeds them?
No, what was your question?
First Diversity, there's reports out there, and Google, anyone could Google around. They're under federal and state investigation for human trafficking. Why would the federal government continue to fund them if they're under investigation for human trafficking?
I don't know.
Well, that's kind of, I'm kind of perplexed there, because you would think if someone was under federal investigation for fraud or human trafficking, whatever charges, and another department within the federal government is continuing to fund the operation, makes no sense to me. They should just cut off the operation.
Yeah.
Unless, these reports are not true. But there's so much stuff out there on First Diversity just by basic Google search. I mean, you don't hear a statement from them, denying anything or saying this is, defamation or slander or whatever like that, telling these publications to take that down. I mean, these reports are out there about them. So there got to be some validity to that in a sense. Just case in point, I mean, I don't know, us just simply walking past that place yesterday, they were literally watching us. And I swear I heard the lady there say she was watching our feet.
Yeah, it seemed like she was either watching it or she was on the phone with someone who was.
Yeah, and that informed her that, hey, they're coming down to First Diversity. Look out.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of deal. But when we went past First Diversity, I didn't see no action. But sometimes they have, and it's kind of like some of the NGOs down there at the border. They'll have an NGO center, but their operations is at another location.
Well, the quote unquote action at the diversity center. So the Haitians come there throughout the day for services, but the main thing is in the morning. That's where a lot of the Haitian immigrants get picked up in these white vans. We're hearing about these white vans and trucks that they're getting picked up in, and they're actually being charged $25 to get a ride to their job. So basically, Diversity hooks them up with a job, let's say at Dole Foods, and so they show up in the morning and they get picked up in the van and taken to their job. But they're being charged for that, which is kind of interesting. So that's like just another layer of it.
I really genuinely want to speak to a Haitian and understand what's going on. Like, the thing about it is, okay, so they work. They're in the country here. They work at Dole, or they work at some of the other locations that one of the residents told us yesterday. Multiple different places they work. But okay, so they work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 40 hours a week. Out of that, how much does First Diversity or other people take out of their paycheck?
Well,
and how much at the end of the day, like, how much are they making a week?
Yeah.
Are they being exploited? Meaning they have to pay for transportation, they have to pay for this, they have to pay for that, and pay the piper. And by the time they get their paycheck, it's almost peanuts, because it's been allocated to all these other programs or people that are assisting them.
Yeah, so
that's what I'm thinking. Maybe not. Maybe they get the full money. I don't know.
No, of course they don't. And that's one of the questions that people have raised, because a staffing company, the way they operate is the employer typically pays them a finder's fee or a percentage of the employee's wages. It just depends on what arrangement they have worked out. But one of the reports I read, they did speak to one of the immigrants who is a client of First Diversity, and he said that he gets paid $12.50 an hour. He works at a company called Jefferson Industries Corporation. He gets $12.50 an hour. And when he was asked if he knew how much Diversity Staffing took from his pay, he said he didn't know. So that's an unknown thing. So you would have to see the contracts between First Diversity and the employers, but typically that's how it works. They get paid by the employers to find the employees.
Another thing we were told, some of these people will come over to take 1099 jobs, specifically and won't pay their taxes. I don't know, a 1099, get the tax return, don't even file taxes. What's the point?
Yeah.
So we got to look more into that. Going back to First Diversity, though, this King George guy, has he? You've been doing the research. Has he spoken about this? Has he come out on the record and give a statement or speak? Is he
No.
is he a person that's accessible?
No. No. One of the journalist reports that I read, they said that they had reached out to him numerous times and he never responded. However, his father did. And so that was how we were able to find out that the company was actually started by his father decades ago. And the timeline of when it was turned over to George, that information came from his father. So his father has spoken to journalists, but he also at the same time defends his son and says that he doesn't believe that he's doing anything wrong. So as far as I know, people are saying they call him King George. That's what people call him because he apparently is known for a, quote, opulent lifestyle with lots of fancy cars. He has a $1.3 million mansion, and he's apparently kind of flashy. So they call him King George around town, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's actually spoken to him, but it does seem like at least the staffers, the ones that we saw out there yesterday, seems like there's a lot of paranoia there.
Yeah, but it seems like these NGOs, and I don't know if they're the same as the NGOs at the border, but it's the same thing. I mean, any NGO that we've seen down at the border would put these like temporary fencing up around their place. They would have guards sit out there, take pictures of anyone that walks by, closing the gates, secrecy. Like they don't want you to know what the operation is or what's going on.
Yeah, and
yeah, go ahead.
They claim it is it's for security purposes and to protect the migrants' privacy. But that's their explanation for why everything they're doing is behind closed doors and no one can see what they're doing.
Yeah. What else? What else in Springfield? As far as the residents wise, we some people, on both sides, people on both sides have reached out to us on this issue, correct?
Yes.
Now, take for instance someone that's on the position that's supportive of what's going on. I mean, what do they have to say?
The people that support it?
Yes, that support, Haitian migrants coming into the community.
So that's just one aspect of this that, this has really torn the community apart because you have people who are like, send them back to where they came from. You have a lot of people like that. And then you also have people on the opposite end that are saying, they're good people, they're hard workers, they work a lot of the jobs that Americans don't work. And so you kind of hear that across the board. But regardless of where you stand on the Haitian immigrants themselves, pretty much everyone agrees that the culprit is these staffing agencies and these organizations that are exploiting the Haitian migrants for profit. That's what people are seeing across the board. And, we saw those people outside last night protesting, and they were saying, like, what they say on their signs, like...
Hate is not welcome here.
Yeah, and love, not lies, things like that. But, some of those people have reached out to us, and we had one person reach out and say they wondered if they might be our only liberal watcher, but they also feel that the Haitians are being exploited. So that's pretty much the consensus. So that's where everyone is in agreement, is on that issue, that it's not the fault of the immigrants themselves. it's not the fault of the residents. It's the fault of the leadership and the exploitation of these immigrants. And one thing
So-
I mentioned earlier, this person named Kyle Kohler, and he had a really interesting thing to say. So he made a whole he put out a whole statement, just kind of going through all the different issues. But what he said in part of his statement, he said, "I am shocked that much of what we're experiencing has been orchestrated by employment agencies who never informed our community leaders about the workers they brought to Springfield. While profiting off the labor of thousands of Haitians, these temp agencies failed to inform our schools, our healthcare providers, our local health department, or really anyone for that matter. These types of actions bring into question whether they're operating with the best interest of our community, but even more importantly, the interest of the impoverished individuals they seem to be taking advantage of." And when I said everyone is kind of in agreement on this, that includes the Haitian immigrants themselves, because remember, they're being packed into these houses, however many people are in these houses. A lot of people are saying that this amounts to modern day slavery, indentured servitude. That's what people are saying, pretty much across the board.
Yeah, I just have to think, like, I'm trying to, like, put myself in a resident's shoes here, right? You have a community that's just under 60,000 a few years ago, right? 58,000. And just in the course of 2 years, the population jumps up 20,000 people, which are Haitians that come into the community there. That's what's that? An additional third of the population that increase that comes in.
Yep.
And then not only comes in, but then people are saying that, the jobs, they're taking the jobs, the auto accidents in the area, the social services, the resources being strained and stuff like that. And it's almost like a community, in my mind. That's a huge increase in any community. I mean, just think of, like, we talk about population explosions and stuff like that around the country, but you're talking a third increase in just, a couple years on really a small community. It's not like this is a city here. It's like so where's everyone going? Where's everyone staying? What's everyone doing? And then, I can kind of feel for some of the residents in that aspect. You have a community, you live here, you have generational community, and I'm not saying there's probably some racism element to some of the people's minds, because they're Haitians, and they want to be, but it's take the racism out and just say, if it was any country, white, black, whatever, any country, and you have 20,000 people from another country, whether it was Russia or any Scandinavian country, and just come into a community, 20,000 is a lot of people on a community, and that's not much anyway of population. It just I can't imagine how some of these people feel.
Yeah, Jennifer Pomeroy in the chat made another good point. The temp agencies get tax breaks too when they employ special status people. And she said it's the same in San Diego. We were in San Diego, so we saw a lot of these issues out there. And she said they would get fired right before 3 months, because I guess that's the cutoff or whatever. They have certain guidelines, so these agencies are getting tax breaks, they're getting grant money, they're getting all kinds of stuff. So like I said, if you want to profit off of the U.S. immigration system that's global at this point, set up a nonprofit and say that you're going to help migrants with XYZ, and you can apply for grants.
And it seems like some of the residents that we've spoken to are a little ticked off at the wine, because they feel like DeWine is doing this because he has a financial interest because of his charities that he's involved with in Haiti, like these foundations, or what was one named after Betty, his daughter.
Yeah, he had a daughter who passed away in a car accident, and they started a charity in Haiti and named it after their daughter. So he has ties to Haiti going back a couple decades now.
So he might have skin in the game here.
Yeah, I mean, at a minimum, he has a personal connection to Haiti. I don't know if there's money involved in that, but
let me ask you.
Definitely, there is a personal connection.
Is there any other cities or communities outside of Ohio that is doing the same process and going into community, like a community, and populations have jumped up significantly in the last couple of years from Haitian migrants? Is there any other communities outside of Ohio that's going on?
Yeah, so I have seen some information that it's not just here. There's other cities where this is happening, but it's beyond the temporary protected status of the Haitians and this specific issue here in this town. We've been saying for a long time, just based on our border coverage, I mean, it's just more than obvious. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that when you have millions and millions of people coming in, they all have to go somewhere. So it's not just here. It's not just the refugee program. It's not just this one thing. It's a myriad of things. It's they're going to Aurora, Colorado. The Venezuelan gangs are taking over apartment buildings. I mean, it just seems like that the government or whoever had these grand ideas of like, oh, we'll just let everyone come. We'll just let everyone come in, and we'll send them to Colorado. We'll send them to New York. We'll send them to Chicago. It'll be great. They'll have services set up in all these places to help these people and whatever. But it seems like they really didn't think it through logistically, because you have to think ahead. You have to, if you're a city planner, you're a community leader, and you're going to accept a new policy or you're going to implement a new program, you have to look ahead, and you have to foresee what problems may arise from that decision and act accordingly. You have to be prepared to have resources for these people. I mean, I read some figures yesterday, and I think it's like in this area, the Springfield area, there's something like 8,000 students, and somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1,900 of them don't speak English. That's a really high percentage to have. So, I mean, you can drill down and think about it from the perspective of one single school. Just imagine if you have such a high, what is that, almost like a 25%?
I was just doing the math there. That's a lot.
Well, yeah, just imagine, let's just drill down and let's just pick a school. Let's say a middle school in Springfield. And let's say they have 800 students and 200 of them don't speak English. I mean, come on. Just imagine the burden on the school itself. What are they doing? How are they managing this? Because you first and foremost have to get these people, they have to learn English. That's another thing that has to be done. So you have to have all these teachers that can teach them English. And that's a big part of this process, is getting them to learn English so that they can get jobs. They can, participate in school and all these other things. I mean, it's just, and the lady told us yesterday, interpreters are expensive. And I know they're expensive, because I told you I had a friend who's an interpreter, and she made a lot of money doing interpreter services for the state of Maryland. Because the court system would pay her to be an interpreter for family court. And it's a lot of money that's involved here. And not only that, you're talking about such a specific language as like French Creole, that how many French Creole translators are there in this country? And how many are there to go around? How many of them are in this city? We already know that we've read the reports about when they go to court, if there's not a translator available, a lot of times they're just released because they're not able to give them an adequate trial, or they're not able to get adequate representation because there's just a lack of strength. I mean, that's just one thing. It's just so many things. You have to think about your whole society as a whole, all the different services that you offer your community, and that taxpayers are paying for. Think about all those different services, and now how they're impacted, because you've got these people, these Haitian immigrants that are coming here. They never drove a car a day in their life in Haiti. Someone told us yesterday, you got to think about it. Some of these people have never even sat in a car, let alone drive a car, let alone own a car. And they're coming to America and they're getting a driver's license and just taking to the streets. And so that's another issue here with that people are reporting these constant traffic accidents there's so much
we saw one yesterday. We saw one.
Yeah, there's so much police activity on the scanner, and people are talking about it more and more, to the point that they pulled the scanner. So now you can't even listen to the scanner in this area.
Well, let me
another aspect.
Truth Seeker Human said this is an issue going on in Sylacauga, Alabama, Sylacauga. So that's something we'll look into on that aspect. But let me ask you something. Are the Haitian migrants allowed to leave? Are they technically on a community house arrest where they only can stay in Springfield? Are they allowed to, if they don't want to stay here, can they go to another city? Can they go to another state? Are they allowed to leave? Can they go somewhere else? If they want to on their free will, can they just say, hey, I'm going to Chicago tomorrow, and we're going to Chicago. Peace out.
Yeah, so they do have transportation rights. So let me go back, because I have specific information on that. Let's see. Travel authorization. TPS beneficiaries can apply for permission to travel outside the United States, known as advanced parole. If granted, this allows them to re-enter the U.S. legally after travel. However, not all TPS holders apply for or receive this, and it's not automatically given. So,
well, that's leaving the country. I'm talking about within the states. Can someone here say, I want to go to New York?
Yeah.
Are they allowed to, or do they have to stay specifically in this community? That's a question if someone could answer that, I would love to know that. If someone can answer that kind of question, because I want to know, are they allowed to are they free to travel around the United States, or are they on some official county, state house arrest, more or less?
Yeah, well,
like
a sponsor and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then here's another thing is what happens at this point in Springfield, knowing that there is more or less a bullseye. My concern, and I really am concerned, I'm concerned for the Haitians. I'm a little bit, because there is some crazy rhetoric out there, and there's fringe people that are actually blaming them. And my concern is for safety of the Haitians. I don't think it's the Haitians' fault. I don't see how it can be the Haitians' fault. I just think, like you said, they're being exploited. They're being used. They're being manipulated.
Well, that's been my opinion for a long time, not just with respect to the Haitians, but just the immigrants in general, because, we've seen the entire operation down at the border. We've seen what happens from the time they step foot in the United States, and and even before that, we know how they get here. There's organizations around the world. There's these quote unquote travel agencies that help them come here. The Red Cross, Catholic Charities, all these different organizations that are 100% profiting off of this. And so, from my perspective, they're pretty much being invited to come here. That's the brutal reality. They're being invited.
But you can't blame them if they're coming from a crazy country. If they're coming from Haiti, which is one of the most impoverished countries in the world, and you're given an opportunity to come here, and you're telling basically it's a free way to come to the United States, who wouldn't take it?
Well, they're told that if they come to America, they're going to get housing, jobs, medical, all these things. So if I'm somebody who lives in Haiti and my country has been taken over by a gang of cannibals led by a guy named Barbecue, I'm probably gonna come to America.
Absolutely.
If someone tells me I can help you in America, that's what I'm gonna do. And I apply this to criminals as well, because the criminals in other countries are able to use this system that we have right now to come into this country illegally and do whatever they want. Like Rachel Marin's killer. 3 times he came, he got turned away, came back a 4th time as a got-away. Next thing you know, he's in California, Maryland, Oklahoma, committing crimes. So, if you're a criminal in another country, and people are saying, oh, you can go to America and you can come in and you can rip up your ID and you can just claim asylum and you can do this and escape, prosecution in your own country, why wouldn't you do that as a criminal? You know what I mean? Like, it's in your best interest to do that. If you don't want to be prosecuted in Haiti or whatever country you're from for murdering your girlfriend and you want to get away, and there's a clear path to get away, almost like a welcome mat in America, why wouldn't you do it? So when you just look at the bigger picture like that, it's like I've said for a long time, even when we were down on the border, I put the least amount of blame on the immigrants themselves.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that we corresponded on the border, everyone crossing over, we don't like the process, but they're being used. And every migrant and everyone that we've crossed, we never show hostility or say anything ignorant or mean to them or nothing like that, because it's not their fault. It's really not their fault. They're these organizations that are pulling the strings and using these people. I mean, that's the way I've always seen it. I mean, it's scary. It's very scary. And really, Americans don't really, I feel like, know the economics to this and who's actually involved on all these organizations and how the inner workings work. But it's I believe it's a criminal enterprise.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's so big and so vast that I just don't think most people can even comprehend it. I mean, I can barely comprehend it, and I've been immersed in it for a really long time. I mean, sometimes when I sit and really think about how vast it is, it overwhelms me. It's really overwhelming. When we were in San Diego, I remember you were like, what are the NGOs around here? And I was like, well, let me look. And I was expecting to see like Catholic Charities and some others. What I found was like hundreds of nonprofits just in that area alone. And because it's not just Catholic Charities.
They all want a piece of the pie. They all want a piece of the pie.
It's not just these big organizations that you hear about. The way it works generally is you do have like a massive organization such as Catholic Charities, and they're the ones that are getting the money from FEMA, the federal government. The money gets written into certain bills, and so they're the ones that are getting the $1 billion at a time. and then what they do is they will essentially contract out to other nonprofits in the area, so they'll get a cut of those grants. So, several of the ones that I saw in San Diego were actually like food companies. They were like restaurants, caterers that would provide meals to the migrants. And, so there's the meals, there's these organizations that are doing meals for them. There's organizations that do services specifically for pregnant women, specifically for certain people and categories. And so there's just so many, and that's just in San Diego alone. So when you really sit and think about it, it's just, there's no way to really even comprehend how big this is all over the world. It's all over the world. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It may even be in the trillions for all we know. So there's a lot of money involved. A lot of people are profiting off of this. And at the end of the day, like I said, it didn't take a rocket scientist to see that all of this was going to severely impact local communities around the country, because there's no way that it wouldn't when you have that many people coming in.
So our first day in Springfield, I hardly seen any Haitians. A few dozen. What we're told is they're told, so someone's pulling the strings to stay indoors till this blows over, because there's so much media attention now, or political candidates, talking about Springfield. So it's gotten a lot of attention. It's drawing people.
Yeah.
But being told not to go out, that shows that someone is telling people what to do.
Right.
Because if you look down Springfield, it looks normal to me. It just, I didn't see anything. It looked like a clean city. I didn't even see homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
Looked pretty clean to me, like nice. And I'm not saying that, what I mean by that is I didn't see no craziness. I didn't see no wildness, dirtiness, or anything. I just seen, a normal town. And I'm sure if Haitians are running around, it's still like clean. I'm not saying that just because Haitians, it would be dirty. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying nothing looked abnormal to me at all.
That's because, so we've heard from a lot of people that they were apparently told to lay low. And someone also emailed us last night and said the reason the city looks clean is because they know the media is watching. That's also why you don't see Haitians around. The local government, police, and Haitians know soon we will be forgotten by the media, and they're just waiting things out. This small town is in the top 10 most dangerous towns in Ohio, even worse than Cincinnati. So that's I think that's what we're seeing. So the whole thing about the pets, the dogs and the cats, that was, I do believe that there is some truth to that, only because I feel like it's something you can't make up, So I do feel there is some truth to it. Now I don't think that it's like a rampant problem where everyone's dogs and cats are being stolen and eaten, but I do think there have been instances of that because we've seen local media reports about it. We've heard reports about a cat who was stolen off the porch and was killed, and so there are instances that have occurred, but that issue sort of became this political toy, because you've seen now, like, the Republican side basically turning it into a meme, with showing memes of Trump rescuing cats from the Haitians and things like that. And then on the flip side, we saw at the debate with Kamala Harris, the Democrat side is using it to mock Republicans and say this is ridiculous, this isn't happening, da 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 da. But all of that is just a smokescreen, because that whole topic of the cats and the dogs has accidentally shined a very, very bright light on the real problems in Springfield. And so now all the media is here, all the attention is here, and now all of this is being uncovered. The fact that you have a mayor who owns multiple properties that he's housing Haitian immigrants in, and he's getting money from the government for that. So, and you've got this diversity staffing, the guy who owns that, he's got all these properties too. So all of these things now are coming to light, and it's because of the issue that apparently started on Facebook from people making posts about the dogs and the cats. And then it was in we've seen some of these city council meetings where the citizens are coming in and sharing anecdotes about this, and we've seen it on the local media reports, but it's just a tiny, tiny thing. It's not the story here. And sometimes it takes something like that to really just blow things up and wake people up to see what's really going on. So I think it was almost like a good thing in a way that issue came to light, because now everyone's watching and everyone now wants to know what is going on in Springfield. How are you dumping 20,000 people in a city of only 60,000? Like, what's going on here? And so now you've got all these people coming to look, and all eyes are on Springfield. So it sounds like they are, they're cleaning up the city. We walked around downtown yesterday. It was nice. Like,
beautiful.
It was clean. It was nice. But one thing we noticed right away was we didn't see any people around. We're like, where is everybody? That was really strange. So I think that I think a lot of the issues are concentrated in certain parts of the town, like where these houses are. And, we'll have to go through and we can look up some of these properties where these Haitians are being housed, and we can go by and see what's going on in these locations. And also, we've gotten a lot of tips about the transports, like when they get picked up, when they get dropped off, where they go, what they do, different things like that. So we can, we'll look more into those things, those tips that we've gotten. And just really, I don't know. I think it's a good thing that all of this is coming to light. I don't think it's ever a bad thing for people to know the truth. So that's what we're here to do. We want to get the truth out there and just show this is the other side of our border coverage that we've been doing for a year. This is the other side of it. Once they cross that border, this is what happens next.
And we encourage anyone that's watching, if you're from the Springfield area, whatever position you take on what's going on here, please reach out to us, tips@JLR Investigates. We love to hear. We want to hear from everybody. We want to talk to everybody. We want to know if this is legit, thrown out of proportion. What's the deal? What's going on? What is this all about? If you know anything about First Diversity, do you know anything, about what is, everything in Springfield? We love to hear from you. That's why we're here, because this is a national issue. This is an issue that no one can avoid at this point, and we are here to see what's up.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Thanks for the conversation, Magnolia. We're going to get started very shortly and go down into Springfield and look around.
Yep.
Thanks for chatting. All right. So that was a good conversation with Magnolia. I see a lot of people in the chat, a lot of different opinions in the chat. I see some people taking it out on me, some ignorance. I don't know why you guys are taking it out on me, simply for being in the town. If you're saying that what I'm saying is lies or anything like that, are you here in Springfield, or are you just somewhere across the globe? Come and talk to us and share the truth. We wanted the truth. We want to know the truth of what's going on. Is this hype or is this not? I went through the community yesterday, looked fine to me. I didn't see anything crazy. What's going on. Residents claim everyone's inside their home and not coming out. So, I want to hear from the residents. Want to hear from everybody. So we'll keep this coverage going. We'll see what Vivek Ramaswamy says tonight at a town hall. He's inviting all residents of Springfield to come to, this town hall meeting tonight. We'll go up there and check it out. I don't know anything about any threats that were being done today. Yesterday, a bunch of bomb threats. They have a huge police presence in the area. I mean, there was lots of state troopers patrolling around in Springfield. Usually the police do their patrolling, but you could clearly see a heavy state police presence. So, the wine calls people in to patrol the areas, keep the areas safe. It looks safe to me. It looks safe to me. I didn't see anything crazy. A lot of times I go in the city and there's craziness in the downtown cities. People are struggling and a lot of open air drug use and stuff. I didn't see none of that going on here. I didn't see none of it. I like the trees. I like the flowers that were out there hung on the flower pots, on the light posts and stuff. I like how the buildings are being renovated. The old brown buildings are being renovated. I have to go check out some of the good food there, and I'll keep you informed. And Magnolia and I will be live in a few hours. So stay tuned for that, folks. JLR Investigates, boots on the ground, Springfield. All right, getting out of here. We'll talk soon. I'll be back in a little bit. Thanks for the conversation. Tips at JLR Investigates. Please reach out to us. We want to know the truth. We'll talk soon. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for watching.